All right guys, today we got a quick update on paddle design and we're making cinnamon rolls. All right, so a few weeks ago, Rick shared with you an update on some concepts around how we're gonna mix the sourdough starter in the Sourdough Sidekick. We definitely got a lot of good feedback from our viewers, and so we wanted to address some of your comments and your questions. But the main thing we wanted to address right off the bat is that what you saw was not going to be the final thing. So this is basically a dollar store silicone spatula that we added onto a plastic arm. That's definitely not going to be the final iteration. In fact, we've been working on improved designs, iterations of that original idea. And right now we've kind of settled on this guy right here. Here at FirstBuild, we have access to 3D printers, and so we're able to actually print in a flexible material similar to silicone. Still not going to be the final production material, but at least this gets us one step closer to the final design. The way that this paddle is designed is it's flexible, so it can bend in one direction and it can also bend in another direction. And what this does is it allows the paddle to kind of drag and kind of mix starter that's out in front of it, but also pulls it towards the center and makes sure everything is incorporated. The other side of the paddle then pushes the starter out, and so you kind of get this oscillating motion to improve the mixing performance. So one of the things that viewers have commented on is when they watch some of the footage of the mixing, it looks kind of lumpy or it looks not quite mixed right. And this is really more a function of how auto mode works. Auto mode actually goes through phases where it takes the original seed starter and it actually kind of dries it out. We kind of lower the hydration so that the fermentation process is slower and grows slower so that we can go longer without having to feed or discard. So towards the end of auto mode, we actually start to rehydrate the starter, and the fermentation process causes the starter to be a bit more loose, a bit more uniform in texture. Even if the starter looks a little lumpy up front, towards the end of the auto mode, we rehydrate that starter. It's gonna ferment and it's gonna look great. We'll show a little bit of footage of what that looks like. So in Rick's past video, we had a lot of great comments, a lot of great ideas on how to maybe solve some of the problems that we have with mixing. And I wanted to share some details just to let you know some of the challenges that we've been facing, even with those great ideas in hand. One of the comments is, why not just change the shape or the texture of the glass crock itself? At the beginning of this project, when we partnered with King Arthur Baking Company, we challenged ourselves to use their existing glass crock within the Sourdough Sidekick. So we're trying not to change their product, we're trying to make it compatible with our Sourdough Sidekick. One of the other comments that was suggested was, why not texture the glass? Why not frost it or etch it somehow? It's not a bad idea, but we're actually concerned about cleanability. So if you got all those little tiny microscopic pockets in the glass, are you going to get starter that's trapped in there and it's going to be hard to clean and potentially contaminate future batches of starter? We were worried about that, so we're trying to avoid that change. The other question that we had was, why not reverse the direction of the motor? Why not mix in both directions? Well, the way that we design this is so that the crock can be easily slid in and out of the Sourdough Sidekick. There's no buttons to push, there's no levers to pull, it just slides in and out. But in doing that, we have the drive gear on the top of the crock, and so if we reverse the direction of the mixing motor, it'll actually push the crock out, and that's an unpleasant experience. That's not really what we want. So that's the main reason why the mixing motor only spins in one direction. One of the other suggestions is, why not use a planetary gear set, kind of like what you might see on a kitchen stand mixer. That's definitely going to introduce added cost and complexity to the design that we're trying to avoid. We're trying to keep Sourdough Sidekick affordable to all of our backers and customers. So it's definitely something that we've considered, but we're trying to also avoid. So mixing is obviously an important part of growing a sourdough starter. You want the water and flour to be incorporated well with each other. But what we found is you don't really need the level of mixing or homogeneity that you get from like a stand mixer. Really, you just need to wet the flour, get everything incorporated, and the fermentation process kind of takes care of the rest. So what we found is that while we could add something like a planetary gear set where we're just perfecting the mixing process, we found that it's overkill and it's really not necessary. So let's talk about materials. Obviously, we're looking into a flexible paddle, which means we're probably going to be looking at something like a silicone paddle. And I know in Rick's video that there was some concern about materials and whether it would be food safe. Don't be concerned. We're definitely going to be using food safe, FDA compliant materials in our mixing paddle. But the main reason that we're looking at flexible is that it tends to bend and not break. So if it encounters any kind of stiff starter or any kind of major resistance when it's mixing, it can tend to bend and kind of move out of the way rather than transferring all of that stress and torque back onto our mixing motor. So definitely improves the reliability of the product. And some of you have been asking, are we going to include a lid with our Sourdough Sidekick? So it has the lid with the integrated mixing mechanism in it, but we are looking into whether we would include a metal lid that would let you take your glass crock from your Sourdough Sidekick and put that in the fridge if you so desire. All right, as always, we love hearing from our viewers. If you have any more ideas or comments of things that we need to look at or try, please put them in the comments below. But for right now, I'm gonna turn it over to Enzo and we're gonna look at making some cinnamon rolls.
What's up guys? My name is Enzo and today we're back with another Discard Daily video. As per your request in the comments, we're making sourdough cinnamon rolls. Let's get to it. As a quick reminder, I set the Sourdough Sidekick up to produce 300 grams of starter for me every day. I can use this for discard recipes, leave it alone, don't have to touch it. I might refill the flour and water once every week or so, and it's getting us ready to make discard recipes every day. One final reminder, this is still a prototype. The screen display will be different and so will the paddle. So just keep that in mind. This is not the final version of our Sidekick. Before we start mixing ingredients, I'm gonna preheat the oven to 375. So the first step with sourdough cinnamon rolls is gonna be mixing all the dry ingredients together. We'll start with 4 cups of flour. We're using King Arthur's all-purpose flour, which is also what we feed our starter with, which is also what we feed in our Sourdough Sidekick. We're gonna add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I don't think I've ever seen a 2 teaspoon measuring either, but the baking soda and baking powder with the sourdough is going to make it super fluffy. Now we got to put 1 teaspoon of salt and lightly mix these together. We're gonna add a whole cup of discard for this recipe. We left a little bit less than 100 grams of starter in the Sidekick, but that's okay because as long as we're feeding it more than a 1-to-1 ratio, which it's set up to do, it's gonna grow to that total amount we were looking for. And we'll do 1 cup of water as well. All right, I'm gonna add in a full stick of melted butter. That's half a cup. And to make it nice and sweet, we're gonna add 1/4 cup of honey. Now, we're gonna give this a nice mix. It might take a few minutes, but we're gonna try to incorporate everything into one big dough ball. We got ourselves a dough ball. Let's roll it out. All right. I might grab a wine bottle. I'm gonna call this good enough. Set this off to the side so we can begin working on the filling. For the filling, we're gonna use half a stick of butter and a cup of brown sugar. A trick with measuring brown sugar is you're supposed to pack it. We'll do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and I'm gonna throw a little nutmeg in. for a little extra flavor. Well, a little extra cinnamon never hurt. Let's hope this goes more smoothly. It's enough, just a taste. Just gonna mix this with my hands as well. That's why I washed them. The butter was not soft enough to mix it with a fork, so. Now we have the filling all mixed up. We're gonna put a nice even layer over our dough. A spoon may have been a better utensil. I'm hoping this turns out. I've never made cinnamon rolls before, but you guys wanted it, so we had to make it. I'm trying to get a nice even layer of the filling throughout the whole dough, because I don't know about you, but it's the most disappointing thing ever when you bite into a cinnamon bun and you get just a loaf of dough. Even though it tastes good, it doesn't taste as good, so I want to make sure nobody gets that experience with my cinnamon rolls. I've been using the terms interchangeably, but it'd be great if you guys could leave in the comments if you know what the difference between a cinnamon roll and a cinnamon bun is, if there even is one. Yeah, this is like a one cinnamon roll is gonna take you out for the week. Looks like a giant Pop-Tart. We're getting there. Just about a nice even coat. So now we get the fun part of rolling it up. Hopefully I don't mess this up. There we go. We have one big cinnamon bun now. Let's chop it into little individual ones. I'm gonna flour the knife in hopes it doesn't stick to that when I'm cutting. Be careful not to cut yourself when you do this, if you do this. All right, here goes the first one. About yay. Well, they're certainly starting to look like cinnamon rolls. So, the recipe calls to coat your cast iron pan or baking dish with a light little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna do that first so they don't stick. Use a clean paper towel to wipe it around. Let's put them in there and pop them in the oven. It's like I'm playing cinnamon bun Tetris. We'll leave that in there for 25 to 35 minutes or until it's light and brown. Now that that's baking, I'm gonna take some time to clean up the space and start making the glaze. Okay, so for the, is it a dressing? Is it a drizzle? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Is this a, I'm not sure if this is a dressing or a drizzle, but the first ingredient is gonna be half a cup of heavy cream. Next up, we're gonna add half a cup of honey or syrup. We have the honey on hand, so that's what I'm gonna use. How many spatulas does it take to make some cinnamon buns? That's the question. And now we're gonna do 6 ounces of cream cheese. So this is 8 ounces. I'm just gonna eyeball it. And we're gonna finish this off with 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I was making fun of this 2 teaspoon measuring thing, but it's actually come quite in handy, this recipe. Cinnamon rolls are done. Let's get them out of the oven and all drizzled. will make it easier to put on the buns here. Is that too much icing? You tell me. Or do I need more? It's a little bit of a mess, but it smells really good. All right, moment of truth. It was a pretty quick recipe, went pretty smoothly. Let's give it a taste test. The crust is nice and chewy, and you still get that sourdough taste, but not overwhelming. And I was worried it'd be a little too sweet with all the filling and glaze we put on, but it's really quite nice. Thank you guys for the suggestions. A lot of you commented for cinnamon rolls, so really happy to make some discard cinnamon rolls. Let us know what other discard recipes you want to see us make. Make sure to comment down below, is it cinnamon rolls or cinnamon buns, and what's the difference? We'll see you next time.